Noah's flood came and did what it was sent to do, to purge the earth of evil. At this time, the Nephilims were on the earth, and they were a major participant in the reason why God wanted to purge the earth. But it appears that Nephilims somehow survived the flood. The Book of Numbers. Chapter 13 verse 33 states, "There we saw the giants, and we became like grasshoppers in our own sight, and so we were in their sight." This verse refers to the account of the spies exploring the land of Canaan and reporting on the intimidating presence of the Nephilim. Before we continue, let us look into the life of the Nephilims before the flood, according to the book of Genesis chapter 6 verse 4. The Nephilims were on the earth in those days, and also afterward when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. This part of the Bible shows evidence of the Nephilim's existence and their extraordinary nature and characteristics. To be remembered clearly, Nephilims were the product of intermarriage between angels and the daughter of men. And verse 5 of the same chapter 6 continues by saying, "Then the Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually." This was after the introduction of the Nephilims, and some other non-canonical writings like the Book of Enoch, which we can trust because it is referenced in the New Testament. This book pointed out that the Nephilims began to sin against the creatures of God, and they were killing the birds and animals, and when they could not be satisfied, they turned on men. It also recorded that the father of the Nephilims, who were angels, left their place of assignment and started teaching men many things like astrology, constellations, and how to make weapons. Evil grew on the face of the earth, and God decided to wipe the earth. But one way or the other, we see the giants again in the Bible. The book of Numbers chapter 13 verse 28 gives the account of the spies meeting giants, which they referred to as the sons of Anak. Let me explain why this is proof that Nephilims might have survived the flood. Israelites wandering in the wilderness happened years after the great flood, that is, the flood happened first. Now the spy confirming that they saw Nephilims is a big proof that they survived. The popular historian Josephus also said, "The bones of these men are still shown to this very day, unlike any credible relations of other men." The question is, how did they survive? Let us go back to our question on how they survived and look at the first closest answer. They survived in holes in the mountain caves. But in my opinion, would the Nephilims have outsmarted God? God planned to destroy everything on earth except those that were in Noah's ark. Nephilims are giants, yes, we know that, but that same flood that covered the face of the earth would have covered them in, except they are in a closed or encamped place. What about we say, these Nephilims are giants? What about if they have hanged a part of Noah's ark even without Noah knowing? Looks like a movie though, but it is so practicable. There was this Judaism passage that says in the time of Noah, there was a giant named Og who was alive, and it was noted that this giant survived by clinging to one part of the ark. Deuteronomy chapter 3 verse 11 says, "For only Og king of Bashan remained of the remnant of giants. Behold, his bedstead was a bedstead of iron. Is it not in Rabbah of the children of Ammon? 9 cubits is its length and 4 cubits its width, according to the standard cubit." This verse refers to the defeat of Og, the king of Bashan, and describes the impressive size of his bedstead as a way of emphasizing his stature. This means Og was a Nephilim who was alive until he was defeated. But note this, there was nothing like this in the Bible, so it might be random stories people are coming up with based on their perspectives about these giants. Personally, holding to an ark in the middle of that heavy rainfall and storm looks less believable. Let's talk about something more realistic. This looks more real, and it entails a big probability that a woman in the ark carries the gene of these giants. Remember, they were mating with daughters of men. Now there is also a big probability that this gene might have been passed through to the next generation. Now I know we all want proof. Let's go to our Bible. Genesis chapter 6 verse 18 states, "But I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall come into the ark, you, your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives with you." In this verse, God is instructing Noah to bring his family into the ark, as part of the covenant established before the flood. It was noted by certain people that there was a wife of one of Noah's sons who belonged to the Nephilim's bloodline. This woman has a big chance of giving birth, and all she would have given birth to are Nephilims. This is the interesting part. The wife of one of Noah's sons gave birth to a child named Canaan. Canaan? That should sound like what we have heard before. The tribe Canaanites was coined from that word, and remember, Numbers chapter 13 verse 33. The Israelis wanted to take Canaan for themselves just to discover they had lots of giants. Canaan would have been a place where giants were produced based on genetics. This is so plausible, I guess. It gets so funny here. Israelites that went to scout the land of Canaan acting like a spy did not see much. There are 6 tribes in Canaan that have giants. These 6 tribes have their own territories. Are you confused? Do not be confused. I asked myself a question. God planned to wipe out all sinners on earth. How come he kept someone that has the gene of Nephilims? Then I discovered he had made a promise to Noah which he cannot go back on. And practically, he is God of 2 chances. God knows wiping out Nephilims might not be the only solution. Humans are corrupted already, and then let us remember this. The fathers of the Nephilims taught them to go against God. The fathers will not be available to guide their son in the part of unrighteousness, but in the way of the Lord instead of doing something entirely different. She had the genetics of Nephilims, but nowhere was it recorded again that Nephilims caused more destruction after the flood. I am forced to believe that God did a lot of things just to eradicate these giants, and one of the things he did was make David kill one of them. Now it happened that I will be giving a summary of what happened in 1 Samuel chapter 17. Goliath, a giant Philistine champion, challenges the Israelites. David is sent by his father to check on his brothers in the army. David heard Goliath's challenge and offered to fight him. The king reluctantly gave David a chance to fight the giant. David eventually killed the giant with a slingshot and a stone out of 7. Based on research, David, after becoming the king, did not only kill a giant. He killed multiple giants, he fought a lot of wars, and he conquered everything. The biggest thing that God did to end the streaks of sins caused by the sons of God, and then passed on to Nephilims, was providing the earth with a legitimate son. Some interpretations suggest that the death and resurrection of Jesus brought about spiritual victory over various forces, including sin and evil. And it should be noted that most of these sins started with the birth of Nephilims. However, these interpretations vary among different theological perspectives. The explicit link between Jesus' death and the end of giants, as traditionally understood, ends sin, and Nephilims are one of the top conveners of sin. Galatians chapter 4 verses 4-7 in the New Testament of the Bible states, "But when the fullness of time had come, God sent forth his Son, born of woman, born under the law, to redeem those who were under the law, so that we might receive adoption as sons. And because you are sons, God has sent the Spirit of his Son into our hearts, crying, 'Abba, Father.' So you are no longer a slave but a son, and if a son, then an heir through God." Quickly, let's see Isaiah chapter 26 verse 14, according to the Latin Vulgate translation in the 1st century. "Let not the dead live, let not the giant arise again. Therefore he has visited and destroyed them, and has destroyed all their memories." What does this mean? This indicates that there is a high probability that certain giants were brought back to earth by divinity. I will not be part of the majority or minority that says divination does not exist, because it does. Now, in the Old Testament, God said a lot of things about people not being into divinations and sorceries. Now, should we say there was a type of sorcery that brought back these Nephilims from the dead? Because these things exist, and it is so possible it happened. These are the justifiable proofs that confirm that Nephilims lived among men after the flood. God is not a liar, and he does everything according to his life for humanity, and that is why he sent Jesus to die for our sins and give us access to him. If you have not accepted Jesus, please do so now. This is the only hope of man as it is. I sincerely appreciate you for watching another one of my videos. Kindly like and subscribe and click the notification bell to be the first to know when I post another video. I love you all, and see you next time. Cheers.